A car rolls off a factory line. Cheap looking, almost forgettable. Except it isn't, because that car just outsold every electric vehicle Tesla has ever made in a single year. Volkswagen is cutting jobs, Ford is delaying its next EV, and somewhere in Shenzhen, a company that used to make phone batteries just became the biggest car maker on Earth. This ain't a trade story. This is the story of how the entire car industry got caught off guard. And by the time you finish this video, you'll understand exactly why every major automaker on the planet is scrambling right now. Let's get into it. Welcome back to The Shift, where we break down the moments actually rewriting the auto industry, not just the headlines. Today, why Chinese cars, and one company in particular, have gone from a punchline to a genuine threat in under a decade. Let's start with the number that should stop you in your tracks. In 2025, BYD sold 4.6 million vehicles worldwide. That's more than Tesla. That makes BYD the largest electric vehicle maker on the planet. Wait a sec. And this isn't a one-country story anymore. BYD vehicles are now sold in over 100 countries across 6 continents. Overall car exports from China jumped nearly 20% in a single year, with electric vehicle exports rising almost 50%. Analysts at Alex Partners now project that Chinese car brands will make up 30% of the entire global new vehicle market by 2030. 30% of the whole planet! To put that in perspective, 10 years ago, Chinese car was a phrase people used as an insult. Cheap plastic, bad safety ratings, nobody's first choice. Today, it's the reason European automakers are quietly rewriting their 5-year plans. So the real question isn't, are Chinese cars good now? They clearly are. The real question is, how did this happen so fast? Here's the part most people get wrong. They assume it's just cheap labor and government subsidies. That's part of it. But it's not the real advantage. The real advantage is something most Western automakers can't easily copy. Vertical integration. BYD didn't start as a car company. It started as a battery manufacturer back in 1995. That matters, because when BYD moved into cars, it didn't need to buy batteries, motors, electronics, or semiconductors from outside suppliers. It already made almost all of it in-house. Compare that to a company like Ford or Volkswagen, which relies on a long chain of third-party suppliers for nearly every major component. Every link in that chain adds cost and adds time. And the numbers back this up. In 2025, BYD posted a 20% gross profit margin. Tesla's margin, by comparison, was 18%. That's despite BYD selling cars for a fraction of the price. Researchers who studied this found something surprising. It's not primarily subsidies driving the price gap. It's structural. Decades of Western automakers outsourcing their supply chains means they simply can't undercut a company that owns its entire production stack, top to bottom. One industry analyst put it simply, only a handful of Chinese companies do this at BYD's level. This isn't the whole industry catching up. It's one company that built something almost nobody else has, and it's now the blueprint everyone else is scrambling to copy. Here's where it stops being a China story and starts being everyone's problem. BYD's strategy isn't just make cheap cars and ship them overseas. It's build where you sell. Instead of exporting from China and eating shipping costs and tariffs, BYD is building factories directly inside the markets it wants to dominate. Factories are already running or underway in Thailand, Brazil, Indonesia, and Uzbekistan. And in early 2026, BYD began production at its first European passenger vehicle factory in Hungary. Think about what that means. It's not knocking on Europe's door anymore. It's already inside the house. And the tariff walls that were supposed to hold this back, they're cracking. The United States slapped on a full 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, effectively locking them out. Europe added heavy tariffs of its own to protect brands like Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz. But then, in a move that caught a lot of people off guard, Canada slashed its tariff on Chinese EVs from 100% down to just 6% as part of a new energy and trade partnership with Beijing. That's not a small crack in the wall. That's a wide-open door into North America, right next to the US market that spent years trying to keep this exact thing out. Meanwhile, in Europe, BYD sales tripled in early 2026 compared to the year before. Not grew, tripled. Legacy brands that once treated Chinese cars as a joke are now watching their own market share shrink in real time. So, how are the giants actually responding? Some are fighting through policy, lobbying hard for tariffs and restrictions, arguing this is about unfair state support and national security, not just competition. Others are doing something more telling. They're partnering with the very companies they're supposed to be competing against. Volkswagen has now started mass-producing a model co-developed with Chinese EV maker XPeng, specifically to try and win back ground inside China itself. Read that again. One of the biggest car companies in the world is now relying on a Chinese EV startup to help it compete in China's own market. That's not the move of a confident industry. That's the move of an industry that knows it fell behind and is trying to catch a ride back to relevance before it's too late. And this pressure isn't abstract. It's already costing jobs and closing plants across the European auto sector as legacy manufacturers try to restructure fast enough to survive a competitor that can simply build a better car cheaper, faster than they can. So where does this actually go? Two things are happening at once. Chinese automakers are slowing down a little at home as their domestic market matures and margins tighten. But instead of pulling back, they're doing the opposite, pushing harder overseas into Europe, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and now cracking open North America. If that 30% global market share projection holds, this isn't a temporary disruption. It's a permanent shift in who builds the world's cars. The automakers that survive this won't be the ones with the most history or the most famous badge on the hood. They'll be the ones willing to admit, the way Volkswagen just did, that the old playbook doesn't work anymore. That's the shift happening right now, in real time, on roads all over the world. If this broke down something you didn't fully understand before, that's exactly what the shift is here for. Subscribe, because next time, we're going under the hood of the other side of this story. The AI failures already showing up inside modern cars, and why some of them should genuinely worry. Until then, keep your eyes on the road, because the industry is moving faster than most people realize. Yikes!